All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Ashley Limbers, and I'm the marketing lead here at Encompass Solutions. At Encompass, we partner with organizations like yours, aiming to streamline business processes, automate your tasks, and really optimize your ROI as well. Our solutions integrate operations, minimizing tedious tasks and inefficiencies across all facets of your business. Jeremy, if you can transition the slide for me. Thank you. We are headquartered in North Carolina and have been in business for over 23 years with just over 40 staff members around the globe. One characteristic that makes Encompass Solutions stands out is that we are very partner focused. We have a certified team of consultants that partners with businesses like yours to help with ERP and EDI implementations, software enhancements, customizations, and reporting. If you go to the next slide, please. And then since becoming an Epicor partner in 2003 and a VAR partner in 2005, we have established ourselves as a premier Epicor partner. And our team includes consultants trained in Epicor's implementation methodology, ensuring consistency and quality in our services. And we maintain a strong collaborative relationship with Epicor. That allows us to function seamlessly as a united team with a single point of accountability. And we're recognized as the go-to partner for Epicor Kinetic. We are committed to delivering exceptional solutions to support our clients. And so today we are discussing the 5 signs it's time to upgrade your ERP solution. And that is presented by our Senior Territory Manager, Jeremy Miller. And just a few things before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be emailed to you. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box and your Zoom control panel, and we'll bring them up during the Q&A session at the end. And we also encourage you to take the survey after today's event. Now, without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Jeremy. Jeremy has over 18 years of technology sales, which today is his 18th year, so that is something to be celebrated. Yes. And 14 of those years were focused on manufacturing in the ERP space. He enjoys working with manufacturing companies to help them discover how new technology can help them improve their efficiency and profitability. So with that, Jeremy, we'll turn things over to you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate everybody joining today. Yeah, as Ashley mentioned, today is 18 years ago today. I started in the technology space as a business development representative. So just occurred to me right when we were getting ready to start this presentation. So thanks for that, Ashley. Thanks for the introduction. As Ashley said, 18 years in the technology sales. I have experience with a few different ERP systems as far as directly selling those systems. Most recently, as Ashley mentioned, I am a senior territory manager here with Encompass, focused on the Epicor Kinetic solution. I estimate in my time that I've been a part of over 500 ERP evaluations in one way or another. And as far as the ERP landscape, when it comes to either competing against or replacing systems in the marketplace, I have a experience with a host of other systems as well. So have been around the landscape a little bit and understand the ERP marketplace. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about some of my experiences. I'll turn it back over to Ashley real quick for a poll question.
You can continue to the next one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So Ashley talked about Encompass Solutions already, so we'll go ahead and jump in. So I do want to just level set real quickly as far as what ERP software is. Probably if you're joining this, you know what an ERP system is, but just to make sure that we level set, ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So, 20 years ago, a lot of people would have referred to it as MRP software or Material Requirements Planning. And MRP is definitely still a part of manufacturing ERP systems, but really ERP grew to encompass a lot more than just the planning side of the business, really to include things like quoting and estimating on the front end, sales management, full financial management, and then, of course, all of the reporting and analytics and things that come around that. So, in short, the goal of an ERP system really is to help a manufacturing company integrate, manage, and then ultimately automate the core business processes of the organization into a single software solution. So we often will refer to that as one version of the truth. So just kind of level setting as far as what ERP software is. So let's talk a little bit about what some of the benefits are of an ERP system in a manufacturing environment. The reality is, most manufacturing companies, as they're growing, they're full of innovative people, and innovative people adapt to business as it changes, as new challenges come, as new customers come on, and new product lines and things like that come on. You're building your business with people who are used to adapting and are good at bringing about business changes. And the reality of that, a lot of times, is that's a fancy way of saying they end up using a whole bunch of spreadsheets, right? I've actually heard it said that the real meaning of ERP is not actually enterprise resource planning, but actually Excel replacement program. So a lot of times when we get into a situation where a company is looking at ERP software, what we find is that there's several spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets throughout the organization that are holding information, and we want to get all that information into one place. So we don't want that information in all those different places, living with different people on different computers, because, in addition to the fact that it's hard to manage that, what it means is that that information is not visible enterprise wide. So what an ERP system does is it allows you to put all of that information in one place, like I said before, giving you one version of the truth. And this allows you to see things in real time, hopefully streamline your processes and make faster decisions. And then ultimately, the hope is that an ERP system can help you automate some of the mundane tasks that take up people's time throughout the day and don't really add value to your bottom line. So why do manufacturers seek a new ERP system? And really, there's a lot of reasons out there that happen. Whether it's wanting to move to the cloud, growth of the organization, maybe the current system that you're on is discontinued by the publisher. You're looking for more real-time access to information. The reality is that there's usually a couple of reasons that we see on the screen that sort of factor into companies that decide to take a look at new ERP software. But no matter what they are, it really always comes down to there being some type of breaking point, right? If I don't know if anybody remembers the TV show Seinfeld, but there was an episode of Seinfeld where Frank Costanza describes why he created this something called Festivus, which he referred to as a holiday for the rest of us. And what he says is, many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way. There has to be another way, right? That's usually sort of where it comes to with these manufacturing companies. There has to be another way to do this. There has to be a better way for us to deal with this information or deal with this lack of workflow or whatever it happens to be. So in the midst of all of the chaos that they have going on, manufacturers come to the same conclusion that Frank Costanza did. There has to be another way. Now, hopefully, it doesn't come to violence before you realize that there has to be another way. But usually it comes to some point where things come to a head and everybody realizes it's time to go take a look for a solution out there. So the top 5 reasons that I've seen in my career in manufacturing ERP that companies switch to a new ERP solution. And some of these sort of combine a couple of the different ones from the previous slide, but the 5 that I've seen the most in my career are: the first is the need for scalability. The second, a desire to have better reporting. The third one, wanting to automate tasks that bring no value to the business. The need to handle a multi-company transactional environment. And then the last one is the implementation of the software. So we'll dig into each of those a little bit more here, but those are the top five that I have seen in my career. So the first one mentioned is scalability. And scalability can take on a lot of different forms, but essentially, in one way or another, the current system is outgrowing the organization. Could be a situation where the business is just growing organically and there's a need for better collaboration. Could be a situation where the business has taken on a new product line or maybe purchased a new business. It could be that a new process has changed how they operate. I've also heard several times organizations tell us our customers are pushing us to a change. So maybe you've got a large customer that is asking for additional information or a new way to enter orders or something like that. When the customer needs new or better or faster information, if that customer is important enough to your business, that can push a lot of companies to change software they can better collaborate with their customers. And as you can imagine, it takes on a lot of different forms when it comes to scalability. So needing a system that can grow with you is one thing, but sometimes adding ERP software might be about being able to grow without having to add as much headcount as you once might have needed. This is something that we see with a lot of companies, that growth sometimes just always feels like adding people. But if we can help you with some processes and streamline some processes, maybe the need to add people isn't always the case, and just some better technology can help as well. So scalability really is a huge factor that causes a lot of manufacturers to look to adopt or make a change in their ERP software. All right, the next one then is reporting. And I've rarely ever had a manufacturing company tell me that they don't have enough information. Usually they tell us that they have too much of it, right? Or maybe that it needs to be cleaned up, which, I mean, by the way, an ERP implementation is a great time to do that. It's a great time to clean up information when you're putting information into a new system. But really, when we get into these evaluations and talk to companies that are in need of a change, mostly what we hear is we have all this information and we can't do anything with it. We can't get to it when we need it. They might say they can't get to it in a way that allows them to make good decisions. The reporting of the information is too manual or too difficult. Your reports might be obsolete like the moment you print them out, right? I actually was involved in a evaluation several years ago, and we were demonstrating to the company, and the solutions engineer that I was working with was showing how Epicore's dashboards work, and the systems engineer was sort of building a quick dashboard to show how flexible the system is and real time and things like that. And at the end of showing how that works, the owner of the business stopped us and asked a few questions to sort of clarify what he had just seen. And then he said, it would have taken my IT half a day to build that report. And you just did that in a few clicks. So he was amazed at the ability to actually pull information out of the system and do something usable with it very, very quickly. So those are really the moments when you realize the benefits of a more modern system with some modern and flexible reporting tools. All right, the next one then is automation. And if you think about your own manufacturing business, you know that everything that happens in the business, right? Sales orders, purchases, inventory movement, with labor transactions, all of that represents a financial transaction in one way or another in the background. I've actually heard it said that the most simple benefit of an ERP system is that it can automate as much as 80% of the financial movement behind those transactions. So in a very real sense, the core benefit of an ERP system is just that type of automation, having the ability to not have to go in and make a journal entry or make a manual transaction every time something happens, but allowing the movement of those things in the background to drive those financial transactions. A lot of times when companies get to the point where they need some automation, though, it's because they've identified that something like so and so spends 2 days per week doing X, or Tim's entire job is managing the schedule, or we have three people manually entering orders, right? There's always sort of this thing that you come to where it's like so and so, such and such person or department is spending too much time on this task. That's that there has to be another way moment, right? So automation is when you realize that paying somebody to do something that technology could handle more accurately and more quickly. And look, we're not trying to replace people here, right? We're not trying to replace anybody's job. But you all know that there's tasks in your business that are being handled by people that just aren't adding any value to your bottom line. And the reality is, if we can allow technology to do those things for you or do them more quickly and more accurately, it frees that person in your business up to actually add value to the business and add value to your bottom line. So automation is another big reason that we hear from manufacturing organizations that it's time to look at some new ERP software. All right, next up, this one's a little bit different, but a multi-company environment. Um, it's interesting. A lot of companies that we talk to that are looking for new ERP software say that it's because they have multiple business entities that they're trying to manage, and the process of doing that requires a lot of manual entry, consolidation, and spreadsheets and things like that. And sometimes they may have found themselves in this situation rather suddenly. Maybe they've purchased another company or spun off a division of their own company. On top of that, there's often a holding company. Sometimes there's an additional company for real estate holdings and things like that. So there's a lot of different moving parts. Um, and well, realistically, in these types of scenarios, when we talk to these companies who are managing those businesses in multiple different systems or sometimes multiple instances of the same system, they don't talk to each other, right? That's the case. I've talked to multiple companies that'll tell me, we've got two manufacturing companies and a holding company, and we're running three different instances of QuickBooks, and then we're manually consolidating everything outside of QuickBooks. So that's obviously a very tedious process, especially when it comes to time to close books and things like that. So a lot of times companies will find that to be too difficult. And so that's the time when they will start to go and look at the potential for new ERP software. So a good modern day ERP system should be able to allow you to have multiple companies within a single database that are transacting in real time. So when you can transform that type of situation, that type of multi-company situation um, into, excuse me, when you can transform that situation and give a manufacturing company the ability to manage all their businesses inside a single piece of software, and then take the next step of actually automating those transactions and giving them great tools for consolidation, it can really be a game changer for a growing organization. All right. The last one then that we want to talk about is implementation. And this one might seem like a little bit of an outlier, but I'm actually always surprised still by how often we hear about the implementation of a previous system or systems, and how that's brought up as a reason that a company needs to make a change. I'll talk to people who been with a company for a shorter amount of time, and they'll tell me, this system was brought in before I came here. I just don't think it was implemented properly, or the previous owner tried to cut costs halfway through the implementation, or we're just a different company than we were back then, and the way the system was put in is really not relevant to how we work today. So an older system that probably was brought in with great intentions that just wasn't implemented properly, or the organization had changed to the point that that system is no longer flexible and scalable enough to support them. That's a big reason that companies end up talking to us about a new ERP system. And the reality is that, buying an ERP system and not being committed to implementing the system properly can be a real problem. I often liken it to buying a 1-ton pickup that only has a 4-cylinder gas engine. You saved a bunch of money, probably look fancy and shiny and new in your driveway, and the neighbors might be impressed looking at it, and you'll be able to get around in it. You will be able to get some things done with it. But really, when it comes to owning a 1-ton pickup, the reason that you own a piece of equipment like that is to haul things that are heavy, tow things that are heavy. And you won't be able to do those things if you only have a 4-cylinder gas engine. So you want to make sure that not only do you have the right equipment, but it has the right backing behind it to do the things that you want it to be able to do. And implementation is it's really where ERP systems succeed or fail, right? I mean, similar to talking about the pickup, that your system that you buy can have all the bells and whistles in the world, can do all the fancy things that are on the marketplace, and can demo really well. But at the end of the day, if it isn't implemented properly, if your team isn't trained properly on the system, if your data isn't imported properly, if your processes aren't properly mapped to the software, then it really doesn't matter how many fancy whiz bangs it has. It just won't work for your business, and you'll probably be looking again within a few years. So we always tell people when looking at software, there's a lot more to consider than just functionality, right? You have to consider the technology behind the software. Is it going to be scalable enough to change with you as your business needs change in the future? Is the company that's supporting it, are they technology forward enough that that it's going to continue to evolve in the manufacturing market space? And then, who's implementing the software? What's their track record of success? What type of companies have they worked with in the past? And what's their ability to be able to get the software implemented successfully? So implementation plays a big role. If you're in a situation where you've had a solution in the past that you've implemented and it just really isn't working for how you're doing business today, I understand that it can be difficult to sort of cut bait in that kind of situation. But the reality is, if there are better tools out there for your organization, the cost savings in the long run of implementing a system properly are going to be huge. All right. So those are kind of the 5 reasons that companies look at ERP software that I've seen in my time in selling technology and ERP software within the manufacturing space. If there are any questions out there, I'd be happy to take those at this time.